hey, this is bad. This is really, really bad. It's been difficult enough trying to get Republicans to get serious about the possible connections between Donald Trump and Russia and recognize it as a potential problem. But we finally got the House Intelligence Committee to conduct an investigation, one of two congressional investigations of the Trump campaign and whether or not they colluded with Russia. This is aside from the FBI investigation, which we now know exists thanks to James Comey telling us that on Monday during his testimony. So, okay, we've now got these two congressional probes that are in good hands, right? Working in earnest to honestly find the answers, right? Well, maybe, because it has now been revealed that Republican Congressman Devin Nunes, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, he's in charge of leading the investigation. If you've been paying attention to the news, every few days or once a week, or I don't know how often, he will take questions about the status of the investigation. He told a Mother Jones reporter this week that he has never heard of Roger Stone or Carter Page, two of the key figures in the Trump-Russia scandal. The guy leading the Republican, the Republican leading the investigation by Congress into this has never heard of two of the key people involved with this pseudo or possible potential scandal. Here's a tweet first from David Korn saying, Nunes just told me he's never heard of Carter Page or Roger Stone, and he's in charge of the investigation. Here is Devin Nunes talking to David Korn from Mother Jones.
You haven't heard of Carter Page and all these other people?
So,
I mean, there are about 5 names mentioned by the Democrats.
I don't know those people.
You've not heard of Carter Page or Roger Stone?
No.
You've never read
of Manafort.
You've never read any stories about any of these people?
I've heard lots of stories, but there was more names than that.
David Korn said, and you could see this in the background of the video we just played if you were watching, that there were reporters listening and just shaking their heads in disbelief that the guy running the investigation hasn't heard of two of the key people. If you're hearing me say this and you're saying, well, but David, I haven't heard of Carter Page or Roger Stone. Okay, I mean, I suspect many in our audience, at least Roger Stone, they've heard of. But we're talking about the person in charge of investigating this, who presumably has been receiving countless high-level briefings about all aspects of the scandal, hasn't heard of Roger Stone and Carter Page, Pat.
It reminds me of Gary Johnson's What's Aleppo moment, because, yeah, if you're just someone sitting at home who's relatively interested in politics,
right,
follows current events, you may still not know what Aleppo is and where it is.
Sure.
But if you're supposed to be leading the investigation, I think that's kind of important.
I'd say, yeah, a little bit, Pat, with an understatement. It's kind of important to know who the key players are in this thing. Of course, Carter Page, foreign policy advisor to the Trump campaign, who met with Russians during the election. Roger Stone, Trump campaign advisor who was in contact with WikiLeaks and the hackers that hacked the DNC, recently admitted to this on Twitter. These are two of the most, if not the two most important people at the center of the Trump-Russia scandal, and Devin Nunes is in charge of the House Intelligence Committee's investigation into the scandal. You'll remember that during the Comey hearing, Nunes also didn't really seem to care about what the leaks related to the Trump campaign and Russia said. Instead, Nunes, like many of those Republicans, was concerned merely with how should we punish the journalists who leaked stuff, which is pretty common, Pat. Whenever you see leaks, the content of which people don't like, they instead only will focus on how should we punish the leakers, even if we're talking about journalists who actually legally will not be punished for that.
They have to find some way to go on offense here, because if you're just defending the whole time, it looks like you have something to hide or that you're just weak or don't have a point of your own. But they were not willing to adopt the claim that Trump made that Obama wiretapped Trump Tower.
Right.
So I guess this was the option they went to.
This was the one and sole focus that they could take during these hearings, to create some optics that take away from the fact that there's no evidence to support Trump's claim that Obama wiretapped him, and that there is indeed a very serious investigation at the highest level into collusion between Donald Trump and Russia. So there it is. I don't remember, I think it was yesterday during a YouTube live stream, I got a super chat question asking me whether I trust that James Comey will be carrying out a full and decisive investigation into the Trump-Russia scandal. And I said, no, I don't. I absolutely don't put my trust in Devin Nunes in carrying out what I would consider to be a thorough, full, and unapologetic investigation into Trump and Russia. And the fact that he hasn't even heard of two of the key players involved in this only supports that. What do you think about this? I'm on Twitter at @dpakman. The show is on Twitter at David Pakman Show. Follow us both and tweet me your thoughts.